Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to discuss magnetism. Go ahead and get out a note sheet of paper and write 8.4 magnetism at the top. Put today's date, it's either May 18th or May 19th. Let's get started. Whenever you think of magnets, you probably remember the time when you had two magnets and you brought them close to each other. Those two magnets either repelled or they attracted one another. Now, that feeling that you felt from the repelling or the attraction is called the magnetic force. A magnet can exert a force on another magnet, on a piece of metal such as a nail, or on moving charges. Here's an example of a bar magnet, which has a north and a south pole. And if you put what are called metal filings, little shards of metal, around the magnet, they will start to follow these field lines, which we'll talk about later. Go ahead and answer this question if you're on Edpuzzle. This is an Edpuzzle question. If you're not on Edpuzzle, go ahead and write this down. Where have you heard of moving charges? Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Magnetic poles. So all magnets have two poles. They have a north pole and they have a south pole. If you bring a north pole next to a north pole, they're going to repel. Same thing as a south pole close to a south pole. However, if you bring a north and a south pole close to each other, they're going to attract. Now, a really important point here is that you cannot just have one pole. One pole is called a monopole, mono meaning one. You can't have it, which means if you break your magnet, let's say this is your bar magnet and you break it in half, you end up with two new magnets, each with its own north and south pole. Now, if you break those, you'll end up with four new magnets, each with their own north and south pole. Go ahead and answer the question. Pause the video if you need to. Magnetic fields. So these are those lines that we saw. These are called field lines. They represent the direction and strength of the magnetic force. Now, the Earth has these field lines. It's called the magnetosphere. And it's basically the Earth has a magnetic north pole and a magnetic south pole. And the field lines of any magnet always run from the north to the south, which means that the Earth's magnetosphere, the field lines, run from the north to the south. Here's a better diagram of this magnetosphere. So we're really lucky to have a magnetosphere because the sun emits solar wind, which is basically the emission of a bunch of tiny charged particles. And those charged particles can actually destroy our ozone layer, which reflects ultraviolet radiation. You've interacted with UV radiation before. It's when you're out in the sun too long and you get a sunburn. So we're lucky to have a magnetosphere. Now, the thing to note here is that the geographic North Pole, meaning north, the direction north, points in the same direction as the magnetic South Pole. Okay, so on this diagram, here you see the south magnetic pole created by Earth's magnetic field and the magnetosphere. We know that this is the South Pole because look at the field lines. They're going from north to south, which means this is south and this is north. Now, the geographic North Pole points this way as well. Okay, so what this means is that the magnetic North Pole of a magnet, like let's say a magnet in a compass, will point toward the geographic north. Because remember, the North Pole of a magnet is going to be attracted to the South Magnetic Pole. And the South Magnetic Pole is in the north, in the geographic north. So actually, let's try to do this one together. You can answer this on Edpuzzle as well. You're hiking through the woods and you get lost. Luckily, you have your compass. So you take out your compass and you notice that your north end of your compass is pointing in the direction that you're facing. Okay? So what direction are you facing? Well, the north end of a magnet is going to be attracted to Earth's south magnetic pole, which just so happens to be in the geographic north. So you are facing north. That's how a compass works. So once again, like poles repel, opposite poles attract. And this diagram is showing the field lines. Electricity and magnetism, they are related, and here's how. Through the electromagnetic force. It's essentially just the force that's associated with those charged particles that we talked about earlier. So an electric force is caused by charged particles. A magnetic force is whenever those charged particles start to move. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, my magnet that's on my refrigerator, it's a magnet, but it's not moving. Well, if you take a microscope and you zoom in to where you can see the tiny electrons within your magnet. Remember, an electron is a charged particle with a -1 charge, and all those tiny electrons in that magnet are actually moving, which is causing a magnetic force. Go ahead and answer the question. An electromagnet. So electric current is passed through a wire, as we know. That's how we're able to have electricity. We have a bunch of wires through our walls and ceiling and floors. If we wrap a wire around a metal core, that metal core can be any metal material, let's say a nail, we can produce a very strong magnetic field. So here's what I mean. If we take a nail, let's say it's this cylinder, and we wrap a wire around it, and we connect this wire to a circuit, maybe we have a little battery here, you're going to end up with a magnetic force. So you'll have field lines going from the north end to the south end. The strength of the electromagnet is affected by how big of a battery you have. It's affected by how many coils of wire you wrap around your metal core. In this case, the metal core here is a nail. Go ahead and answer the question. So now we have an electric motor. An electric motor transforms electrical energy into mechanical energy. And the basic principle of an electric motor is that if you take a wire and you move it through the field lines of a magnet, the electrons within that wire are going to start to move, and you're going to have a current. So what this picture is showing, if we take what's called an armature is just this weird shape. If you take a coil of wire and you wrap it around a metal core, and then you have a magnet that has magnetic field lines, and you spin this armature, basically what you're going to have is you're going to have wire that is moving through the magnetic field lines of this blue magnet, which is going to cause a current to form within the wire, and you can start to do something with that. Now, an electric motor, remember we said, converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. So an electric motor needs batteries. So an example of this would be your vacuum cleaner that you use to clean your house. Okay, if you have an electric one, it will require batteries, or you plug it into the socket. Okay, that battery is what's causing this to spin, and you're able to do something with this. A generator, on the other hand, is the opposite. It converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. So oftentimes, your electrical generators nowadays will run off gasoline. So you'll fill it up with gas, and you'll turn it on. In that case, you're pretty much converting a chemical energy into electrical energy. But let's say, for the sake of this lesson, that you have a hand crank, which means you're converting mechanical energy into electrical energy. Whenever you turn this hand crank, you are turning the wire within the magnetic field. Whenever you have a wire moving in a magnetic field, it will cause a current to start to flow through the wire, and you can do something with that current, such as light up a light bulb. Go ahead and answer the question. That's all I have for you. I hope everybody's doing well. Please reach out to your teachers. Please attend office hours. Let's finish this week strong. Have a wonderful day.